fun living in every world. Ain't it good being all alone? Where you from? You might be the one who's running things. Well, you can ring it back this bell and get what you want. You see, it's easy to ignore.
Did you pick that walk-up song?
Yes!
Very nice.
Okay, well, but my first 5 choices were a little inappropriate. You couldn't find the edited versions, so I went with something that was
Your daughter is
family-friendly.
disappointed you didn't go with K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah.
First of all, I mean, it is an absolute pleasure to be with y'all today. Look at this room. My goodness, y'all are amazing.
Beautiful.
This is a perfect example of how things can be similar without being the same. Jules and I have very similar backgrounds. We both have local TV news experience. We're both Texans. We both ride the Astros roller coaster. But we are not the same. Sitting up here next to her, I feel like the rundown gas station across the street from Buc-ee's. My ice cream machine and car wash don't work. She's selling art in the bathroom. She's got like a line of people that want to see her. So similar, but not the same.
Stop it.
Monica asked me to give a formal introduction for Julia.
Oh, boy.
And I knew that she would roll her eyes when I told her that I had to do a formal introduction. But I will hit on some of the high notes, the things that are important. Julia Morales just finished her 13th season as field reporter for our Houston Astros. She has won 5 Emmy Awards. She is a proud alumna of the Kilgore Rangerettes and the Texas Longhorns Pom Squad.
Yes. Any Longhorns, please? Come on.
There we go.
Yes, there's a couple. Okay. I'm safe.
We know it's been a rough time, but they pulled out the win the other day. Julia was actually on the Pom Squad in 2005 when the Longhorns won the national championship.
Oh, the glory days.
In 2024, she was doing play-by-play for the Astros. For the Athletics, in the other booth, was Jenny Kavnar doing play-by-play. And they made Major League Baseball history, the first time in the history of our nation's pastime that there were dueling female play-by-play announcers. So that's all very important stuff. She has an incredible resume, and it is nice to be important. It is even more important to be nice. And the best thing I can say about Julia is who you see on television is who she is off camera. And I've known her for 2 decades now, and she is as authentic and genuine, and you love her as much as you do on TV in person. She is so well respected in all professional circles because she is so well prepared. She takes her job seriously. She doesn't take herself seriously. And all of us who, quote unquote, knew her when could not be more delighted for all of her success. And I think that is the most important formal introduction that we can say about Julia Morales.
Thank you. Wink. Very sweet. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've known this one for sure.
Yeah, we go way back.
Way back.
We're not going to tell any of those stories.
My salary was high back then.
We're going to tell. We're going to get to Julia's journey. We're going to have her tell some stories. We're certainly going to leave some time for y'all to ask questions, but we're actually going to start this off with some of the questions that she sort of gets all the time. So we're going to kind of do a little bit of rapid fire, high level Q&A. It's probably something that you're thinking of. So we're going to go ahead and address it right off the top.
Let's do it.
You ready?
Ready.
Favorite ballpark not named Daikin Park to visit?
Okay. I've got to give you like a top 3. It's tough. And it's probably not the ones you're thinking I'm going to say. The really old ones are very difficult to work in. I know they're cool for people to visit, but for me, it's going to be Safeco in Seattle's on that list, Oracle in San Francisco, and I love Camden Yards in Baltimore.
Favorite road city to visit?
Seattle's up there. Although I'm mad at Seattle right now because of their good season that they had and taking over the division. But it is a great road city in the summer. Like, you've got 3 months. That's it. That's it. That's all you have to visit Seattle. But Chicago, my bank account gets hit hard when we visit Chicago. That's a fun one. And here recently, now that I've got a 5-year-old who's traveling more, New York, because I'm like reliving and seeing New York through new eyes, because I was tired of going to New York. For Astros fans, y'all know how many times we went there for the postseason and how many games and how many trips. I've been doing this for a long time, so I was kind of just like staying in my room a lot. But now that I have a 5-year-old, we went to a Broadway show. We're doing all the things that are so cool
all
for someone who's never been. Yeah, so it's fun.
You fly with the team. Mm-hmm. But it's not like you're sitting there playing cards with Yordan Alvarez. What is the dynamic of...
That's dominoes.
Dominoes, sorry.
Cuban dominoes.
Pull back the curtain a little bit. What's the dynamic of the team playing your spot, your role? What's
That's true. This is a question I get a lot. Do you fly with the team, and how does this work for you? There are a group of us that fly with them, and we do every game because we are kind of all in this together. And it's the broadcasters, so radio, TV, and then we've got a radio engineer, Matt Bolts, who's great too. And so, but the rest of them, you guys know, Todd Callis, Jeff Blum, obviously. And then the team has their staff, right? So obviously the team's on the plane, the coaches are on the plane, but then they've got medical, strength trainers, the dietitian on the plane. So I don't know, there's maybe 60 to 70 people on the plane. There's a traveling secretary who's running the show that's on there as well. Clubhouse, there's a clubhouse guy that's setting things up before the team comes. So that's the group, and we are together. We're on the bus together. We go to the hotel together. Our keys are laid out for us, and we just go from one city to the next. It is a well-oiled machine. This game's been around forever. And they've got it down, and we're usually staying at the same hotels every time we go to a city. These guys want it to feel as close to home as possible. So for me, some of these cities do feel like a second home because we spend so much time in that hotel, and I know exactly where my coffee shop is and where I'm going to get my workout in and how do I get to the bay for my run and all of that. So that's the traveling dynamic. I'm sitting next to Blummer, and he's a good seatmate for the most part, and it's a fun part of the job. I would say it's a really hard part of the job. A lot of the travel happens in the middle of the night. Sometimes there's night getaway games. So I remember there being one in Pittsburgh, and of course that was the rain delay that turned into just a really late night. And I think we had a long way to go. Right? Yeah, exactly. Then we had a long way to go. So the hours aren't always great, but the plane is very nice. We got upgraded recently thanks to Tillman Fertitta, so he's letting us use the Rockets plane. So no complaints. I'm just throwing it out there what that dynamic is like. It's we travel fine.
Yeah. And we will get into the living out of a suitcase here in a little bit.
Okay.
Your favorite Astros player, and if you need to protect yourself,
I need a dry erase board. And, yeah.
If you want to make it, thinking about, because
There's
obviously
so
you do a lot of interviews, you can talk about that. Or I know they want to know who your favorite is.
Yeah, the favorite interview, I get that question a lot, and it's hard to pick a favorite when you're with these guys all the time. It's just kind of one big family for you. But I've been doing this so long that I have a couple of favorites over the years. And I'm going to start with Jimmy Wynn as my all-time favorite Houston Astro. And that's different. Obviously, I didn't cover Jimmy Wynn, the toy cannon plane, long before I got into this. But I did get a chance to have a relationship with him and get to know him. And what a sweet angel. And he was so much fun to get to know. Just a firecracker. I mean, the nickname says it all. So for him, he's like number one for me. But when it comes to players, Jose Altuve, shocker.
Yes.
Shocking. Altuve is he's as great as you would think he would be and as you would want him to be. And he is the jersey that you need to buy for your kid or for yourselves. I am not judging men who wear adult jerseys. But it's like he is great. He's a family guy. He keeps to himself. I know he's not out there and he's not on camera all the time, and it drives him crazy when I have to interview him. But I'm like, Jose, when you hit 3 home runs in a game, people have to, we have to hear from you. We want to know how that happened. And so we've been doing this a long time, and he always gives me a hard time for those interviews, especially the ones that happen right after the game ends, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Astros win, and then just a few seconds later, you see me interviewing him. And he's always like, really, Julia? Again? And then he's always like, Julia, I'm so hungry, hurry. And it's just a thing. He said he has to say it every time. And then he thinks it's going to get me going that I have to hurry. But I'm like, no, you hit 3 home runs. So we're gonna talk about your great game. So he's just he will always be an all-time favorite. And I cannot wait to see this guy go into the Hall of Fame. It will be so much deserved. But I've had some fun ones over the years. I think about covering like an Evan Gaddis or Tony Kemp and people who were so great at interviews because I had no clue what they were going to say. I had no clue what was going to come out of their mouths when they opened it, and that was, a little terrifying at times. But also, there was just real raw emotion with some of these guys that didn't censor themselves. And there's a Chaz McCormick in there. I don't know if y'all have seen his interviews. He's definitely on that list as well. Mauricio Dubon here as of recent. He's just been a lot of fun, and he loves to be on camera. So he's a reporter's dream. I just give him the microphone half the time. So that's a long answer, but it's really hard to choose just one.
We'll see if any of those names are covered in this next question. Your daughter Valerie just turned 5. So to not make this weird, pretend she's 25. Which Astros player would you be okay with her dating?
Jake Myers.
Jake Myers. Okay.
Done.
Because of the awesome catches up against the fence, right?
Yo, this kid is so wholesome. We have a great team, right? We always have great teams. But right now, they're boys to me, but they are some good kids. And they love to be with their wives. They love their babies, and they bring them along. It's so hard. I just talked about the travel, right? And I talked about who's on. There were no families involved in that, right? We're moving too fast to put your kid and your wife on the plane. It's not the way that goes. Playoffs are a different story. That's when everyone's coming for that. But during the season, you've got to get your family there if you want them to come on a road trip. And a lot of these guys do. And they find it important to spend as much time as possible. It's such a hard game, and you're away from them so long. And I've seen that change in the last 10 years. They are bringing these kids along, and it's not easy for those wives. So props and shout out to the wives and girlfriends who were making those trips, making it happen. But we've got some really good guys, and Jake Myers is as wholesome as it gets. My gosh.
One of my favorite moments from last season, Spacey Home Network, was one of the first games you were up in the newly renovated train at Dyken Park.
Yes.
Interviewing Bobby Dynamite, one of ours, Deer Park native, born and raised. And you uncovered that he's at every game, and he just has a couple pairs of overalls.
Yeah.
Just rotates them really well. He's a simple man. I
it's
think you
hot up
have
there.
more than 2 or 3 outfits.
Yeah.
So, do you double dip in a season? Like, what are we working with? You don't wear the same thing once.
No, you can't wear the same thing twice. What? Come on.
Sorry for the dumb question.
No. Thanks to Instagram. I mean, it used to be a lot easier back in the day. No, it actually has become a fun part of the gig. And back to Bobby Dynamite. It gets really hot up there where he's standing. Why does he only have 2 pair? You can't wash those fast enough. Okay, anyway. But for me, when I started, who in here remembers how many games the Astros lost in 2013? Anybody? Or one. You can go.
It was triple
How many
digits. We'll
games
give you
did
a
they
hint.
win or lose? Okay, so to give you some perspective on where I started with the Astros, it was 2013. That was my first year. I get hired right before the season starts. They had just lost at least 100 games in 2 seasons. So we were going into 2013 coming off back-to-back 100 lost seasons. And we didn't get to do the first game because ESPN took it, because, of course, this was the year your Houston Astros switched leagues. They switched colors, jerseys. 2013 was a time. It was just a very interesting time because people didn't love that their team was losing, and they didn't love that they were going to be an American League team, and they didn't really love that you were changing out of the brick red. I mean, there was a lot going
network?
on. There was a new network. We're not going to get into that. It's in the papers. You can find all that. No, I mean, it was just an interesting time. But then, so we kick off the season. It is not a good team once again. And that was kind of the plan at that point. Then it was like, how are we going to get good? Well, you got to have one more tough year before it gets going. So they lost. Y'all ready? There's 162 games in a regular season, right? I know it's a lot. They lost 111 of them that year. That was my first year. And this was also me new to the RSN world, which is the regional sports network. So I came from local news. This is a huge jump for me, but I'm also being thrown into this really bad team. And Altuve was on the team, but I mean, Marwin Gonzalez was on the team as well. But they weren't the guys y'all know now. This is a couple of different guys who were trying to find their way in the big leagues too. So just crazy times. So we were doing anything but talking about the actual game. Like, who has a new crazy hot dog out there that we can try?
Something.
I mean, and we were in these American League ballparks, so it was like I was trying to give refreshers on, hey, you know, the Astros haven't played the White Sox, you know, in a while, so let me take you around and show you the parts of this ballpark that you may not have known. So I was doing a lot of like tap dancing, like I was doing the time step over here. Meanwhile, there was a lot of ugly happening on the field. And one of the things that took off that year was I was wearing colorful shoes, like different heels, because again, women. The trend was in the 12, 13, 14, it was like bright colors, and we were wearing those chunky necklaces, and y'all remember. And I was all in on it, thinking I was fashionable. But I had all these Astros fans who were like, oh my gosh, she's wearing lime green shoes today, and she's wearing pink shoes today. And that became a story. And they actually did a story on me. And then they kept calling me this fashionista. Y'all, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just shopping at Charmin Charlie's and going to, you know, like, I was just doing what y'all were doing. I wasn't fashionable back then. But my point is, like, that became a thing. And then I felt like I had to keep it up, right? And like Bill Brown, who was doing Astros games and had been for 25 years at this point or whatever, just a legendary voice in the booth and someone I have so much respect for. It got to the point where he's like seventh inning, he's like, Julia, what shoes you got on tonight? You know, like what are we doing? Right, Brownie was in on it, and it became a thing. So, long-winded. I don't know if y'all know this, but I work in TV. And I basically, it became kind of part of me, right? And part of like something fun that I was doing, and then I kind of kept it up. Hard to keep up the shoes, and then I started changing my shoe wear. This is still also when we were wearing stilettos all the time. When chunky heels came around, whoo, game changer. I was like, I needed that chunky heel to come back in style, and then sneakers have really taken off since. So anyway, it's been fun to kind of have that be something fun for me to do on the side anyway, fashioning. But I rent a lot of stuff, so I don't own everything. My closet is not very big. I just make it work. I rent almost everything that I wear, and keep it going. Next Instagram picture. Let's go.
We cannot have repeats. No duplicates.
2013, y'all missed out if y'all weren't watching that season. Some good stuff for my resume tape on that one.
I'm glad you mentioned 2013 because a big part of you is your journey. Not to make this about me, but one of my favorite parts, or stories together, I was with Julia at spring training with the Round Rock Express when she got the call that she got the Astros job. And we were super excited. One of the things we said was, wow, you're never gonna have to run up and down a high school football sideline carrying a camera again.
Or carry a camera.
Right, never have to carry a camera.
It was a huge jump. I was getting my call to the majors.
Yeah,
at that moment, yes.
But to that point, why that was such a big deal, you weren't just somebody who, oh yeah, I think baseball's cool. I'm just going to find a way to, insert myself into the game. I want to be a sideline reporter.
Yeah.
You paid your dues up through local news. Talk a little bit about your journey and why it was such a big deal to get that call back.
Yeah, we were grinders, Wink, back in the day. And I get the question a lot now from young women and people who are interested in journalism, and maybe they're in high school about to graduate and about to try to study journalism, and I'll get the question like, how do I become the next Astros reporter? And I was like, well, hold up, like hang on, I had like 5 steps before I was even thrown into the ring to see if I could get this job, because that's first of all, that's the way sports is anyway, right? They're always kind of working their way up to the next level, especially in baseball. When we talk about getting our call to the majors, it's such a big part of the sport of baseball is working your way up through the minors. And for me, that's exactly what I did. So in TV, the part of it, and I was told that by a lot of people, like, just say yes to that first job. get in, do the grunt work, figure out how to work a camera, shoot blue video, all the things. I was shooting my own stand-ups. I'd put the tripod up and the camera. But I started in Sherman, Texas. I don't know if anyone knows where that is. That's way over there and small. But started in Sherman, Texas, went to Tyler, Texas. So I jumped up. It was a huge jump to Big Tyler.
Yep.
Big Tyler. The high school football got a little better, though, I will say. And then I got the call to go to Austin, Texas, which is that one really was a huge jump, especially for me going to the University of Texas. I was covering the Longhorns. Also, like, why weren't they winning national championships when I came back? Like, I missed out on that. But it was just part of it, and I learned so much about me. I learned so much about the business and what it takes to put a product together, and I learned how to produce, and I learned how to edit, and I learned how to write, and I had to be on camera and throw on makeup, and you learned how to do so many different jobs, and you're not realizing it at the time, but then you get in a position like I was, getting called majors. And I joke, I didn't have to carry a camera anymore, but all of a sudden, I just had to focus on my content and being on camera and the delivery, and it was like, whoa, like what about, what about the lighting and what about this? And are you getting that shot? I mean, that wasn't my job anymore, but I had so much and I didn't realize this either at the time, but just so much respect for all the people who did all those jobs. And they were my friends and we all worked together. And I honestly to this day think that's why I'm still in this business, is because I am so appreciative of all the people that it takes to get to this point. And all the hard work, because everyone's kind of grinded through some way. But yeah, TV world was kind of ugly in those first markets. Like, you didn't know if your car was going to start. The equipment they gave you didn't know if that was going to turn on. And somehow you had to get back and have the highlights for the 6 o'clock news. Yep. And we figured it out. Deadlines. Man, I'm sure we'll get into it, but I get the question a lot of like, how do you do this? How do you manage this? And it was like, deadlines. I was always on a deadline, and so time management was something very important to survive and to keep my job, and that has really just kind of changed my whole life and how I am as a mom and what I do on a daily basis.
You got the call, you made the jump, you've been doing this for 13 years. I mean,
yeah.
You live out of a suitcase for half the season, traveling with the team. I imagine it probably, doesn't get easier, but you get used to it. So how do you manage that? Having done it for, I guess you missed the COVID year, but it's been almost a decade and a half.
Yeah, it took a couple years to get used to it. Again, going back to, I bring up 2013 just because it was really challenging. And it was such a huge move, right? This was supposed to be the happiest I've ever been in my career, and I got the job, and here I am, and nobody was really all that happy around me. And then I had to ask the manager questions before and after each game, and most of them were losses. And so it was just like, I was getting kind of writer's block and just like, what do we talk about? Again, tap dancing, like 5, 6, 7, 8, what can I show over here? And then the players weren't exactly happy to see me every day. I mean, it was just, but I had the job that was with the team every day. And the other thing was, this job was new. Back to the network thing, we joke about it, but the network was this new thing that was happening, and they put a lot of money into, bringing you content from all the sports in all the different ways. So for the first time, they were putting a person like me on the plane and being with the team and doing the primary job, because we had people, great people who I still, work with and have been with to this day, but they weren't the Astros person, and they weren't going to be with them from, 1 to 162. So again, when I was on the plane, thinking back to those first trips, I was the only female on the plane, and I didn't know. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to do anything wrong or look at anyone the wrong way or be looked at the wrong way. Some really stressful times in the beginning. So this is all part of my first year, just managing this and figuring out. And I knew I had a lot of eyes on me too, because it's like, who is this girl that's with these 60 men all day, every day? It's unique, right? And I know, a woman in a man's world, it's something we talk about a lot, and you're the only woman in the room, so I know a lot of you can probably relate to some of this. That year was really hard. It might have helped if they had won more games, I don't know. But they didn't, and that was what I was handed. However, all it did was get easier for me, because the team just got better and better. 2014, I remember there was a big win towards the end of the year, and we knew that they weren't going to have a losing season, and that was just like the biggest deal, right? And we saw Jose Altuve get the batting title that year in 2014, and we were also watching what was going on in the minor leagues. There was this guy named Carlos Correa they had drafted who was starting to work his way up. George Springer was called up in 2014, but I remember 13 watching him, like his highlights. They were ridiculous. Like the highlights, y'all are watching George Springer right now, right? Yeah. We're all, hopefully he's back in there soon. He's got an injury, but I'm so excited for him. But we knew help was on the way. We knew there were guys coming. And 2015 was a whole different ballgame. There was a new manager. The coaching staff changed a bit. There were some veterans in the clubhouse. And then they were winning. And they were winning like back-to-back games. And it was like stretches of winning and winning in cool ways. And then going to the playoffs. I mean, it was just that we thought 2015 we'd peaked. We made it.
One game against the Yankees. Yeah.
We made it. My gosh. And then 10 years of winning later, that's what I'm saying. It got easier and easier for me to figure it out. And I got comfortable and more comfortable in my own skin, something I didn't think I needed to do at the time because I'd already been in sports. I'd already been a sports reporter in small markets, and we were using, formerly known as Twitter, we were using that app back then. And so people were telling me that if they didn't like my shirt that day on the news, and they didn't like my hair color, and I need to, smile more. Like I was getting all those tweets. This is before I get the Astros job. So I thought I had tough skin until, that job changed. But once I got real comfortable there, I was like, let's go, let's do this. I didn't realize it was going to turn into a career here. It was also not the way the job was meant to be either. It was supposed to be reporters kind of coming in, maybe going national, and there's this trajectory back then, and I was having way too much fun. Why would I leave? And I fell in love with Houston, and how many rings do I have now?
At least 2 for the big ones.
We get them for the American League too. Which I had no part in. However, I have witnessed and been a part of.
You talk about this being home. You were actually born in Houston.
What? I'm a real Houstonian.
So family was living in Cleveland. Jules was raised elsewhere, but you feel like, like watching you, like you are so entrenched in Houston sports and Houston culture, like it feels like this is home for you. And is that maybe what the impetus of becoming an entrepreneur? I mean, you could have just kicked your heels up and enjoyed the off season and had an off day here and there, but you wanted to get into the entrepreneur space. There's a booth back there. Can you speak a little bit about the situation here and what drove you to that?
Yeah, I get asked a lot too. Like, what's next? When are you going to MLB Network? Because again, I mean, it's something we just as a society too. You're thinking what's next for everyone, right? And I know people watch TV and you watch ESPN and you see the bigger networks. But for me, once I got happy and once I got married, and I found this to be home, and once I got over the humidity, I should add that in there too. No, I'm from Texas. I am so Texan, and we get humidity everywhere, but y'all know it's different here, in the first couple of years, my car, I had to park really far from my apartment. That was a bad move on my part. That was a rookie mistake of where I said yes to the apartment, because I would get to my car, just, my hair I had just spent an hour putting together to be on TV, and it would just be wet. Y'all know, it's like underneath, just wet. And so I would start taking a hairdryer to work. Anyway, once I got over that and got out of that apartment and got a better parking situation, I was just really happy. But the fan base, I talk about having tough skin, and all of that too. This place was great to me from day one. And people didn't have to be because of the situation that the Astros were in. I know people were angry about a lot at the time because this town loves their sports. We've known they were a baseball town. They just weren't getting the good baseball at the time, but they were always good to me. And then once we got distribution, back to the network situation, and once people were able to tune in and watch, like I said, I was comfortable. I was on a good team of broadcasters. We were having a great time. We were like, come on for the ride. This is going to be fun, y'all. Just join us. That's kind of how we were, we were doing it every night. Because we knew people were starting to watch again and starting to be a part of it. I don't know. I just wanted to spread out versus like take off and go somewhere else. I was ready to dig in here and find a home here and do more. So I do a little bit of Rockets too. I'm kind of the backup for the Rockets broadcasters. So you'll see me fill in for Kevin Eschenfelder, and I'll work with the Hall of Famer Calvin Murphy. Y'all, Murph is a trip. And he outdresses me every night with his sequins and whatever he decides to wear. He is just so much fun to work with, though. But I'm obviously know what's going on with that organization, and all of a sudden I felt like I was there for the back-to-back World Series, and I was like, yeah, I remember that. I wasn't there, but I just became so entrenched. I don't know. The fans here are so great. The community is so great, and it made me fall in love. And I jumped into the nonprofit world, and Houston Pets Alive was something really important. But I love being out. I love meeting people. I love to talk. I don't know if y'all have gotten that yet. But so the entrepreneurship, it was like meeting people, getting ideas from people, meeting incredible women who had started small businesses. That's how all of that started. It was just conversations with really cool people in the Houston area to get me to start some of this stuff and to give me the courage and just the advice. Just some really cool people around here. There's some cool people. I know some familiar faces in the crowd. Where's Twyla? Twyla's somebody I looked up to forever and ever. And so Twyla Carter in the house, council member there. So anyway, I'm always running into people that I fall in love with here in Houston, and it's because they're Houstonians.
Well, we're glad this is home now.
It is home, yes.
You talked a little bit about your 2013 experience, with eyes on you being the only female amongst 60 males. There's a book sitting on this table right here.
Oh yeah.
Her Day at the Park, written by Julia Morales.
What?
It is.
It's so hard to write a book.
Not to give away the ending, but so the book is about a little girl who goes to the ballpark and sees just a ton of female representation and doing important, critical roles. You like to talk about how much better your industry has gotten since you got in, but I think it's relatable to this room that being a female in what is a predominantly male-dominated industry, why was it important for you to write this book? Yeah,
exposure. So I guess, I'm not in the crowd, right? I'm on the field, I'm in the dugout. I'm a little hard to get to at games, but I love when somebody will yell at me. I'm cool with y'all yelling at me if you want to yell at me. It's just the only way you can get in touch with me at the game. But with little girls or, dads will be like, hey, my daughter wants a picture with you. And I'm talking little bitty girls, and they are Astro'd out. And you can tell they're fans, and then they have stories of how they became a fan, and it's just so heartwarming. And that happened more and more as people started to watch. Obviously, the ratings were kind of through the roof, so we had people watching every night. And so these little girls were seeing me, right? And they were seeing a female on TV talking about Astros while watching with dad or mom or whoever. Exposure. And for me, that was really important in my life and how I got here. I think back to how I even wanted to be a reporter. It was because my dad went on this he had this crazy idea to run for U.S. Senate. He was a school teacher teaching government. I know, we need a whole other 30 minutes to talk about my dad. 1996. Yeah. My dad's Victor Morales. I don't know if anyone's heard that name, but he was a school teacher and decided, I'm going to change the world. Didn't go just like that. But he was trying to teach his students about how to run for office and all of this. And he's a very passionate man. And he did. And it gained crazy media attention. And this is before social media, obviously, in the 90s. But we had newspaper writers at our house. We had TV reporters setting up live shots in front of our house because he did well. He became the first he became the first Latino to run for U.S. Senate in Texas. And so he made history. He was actually in one of my exams in college in my government class.
Ah, that's cool.
I got it right. But he did not win. Spoiler alert, and it's a bummer of the end of the story, but the inspiration that he brought to so many people, he wanted to get people to register to vote was his big thing. And he was a school teacher, so he was kind of this nobody that people fell in love with. He could also speak. Again, where does that come from? But I was seeing reporters, and I was seeing the live coverage and exposure. It was me I was growing up in a town called Crandall, and 99.9% of you have never heard of that, even though it's down the road, because there's no stoplight. So small town, right? So who knows what I would have been or who I would have become if that had not happened, and if I hadn't seen that reporter stand in my front yard and do that live shot and the red light go off. Like, I fell in love and I took off. I ran with it. That's why I'm here today, is because I wanted to be a news reporter at 10 years old. So my point is, I feel like exposure is very important, and that's what we're getting now with all of these women who are in these different roles. And I mean, it's changed, sure, yeah. Since 2013, there's so many more, and they're doing jobs that you hadn't seen women do before. One of my good friends is Ginny Kavnar, who called that A's game with, at the same time I did. She's one of my best friends in the world, and we don't live in the same city, but she's that person I can text all the time and call if I need. And she was just one of the first. It was going to San Francisco and hearing a female call, the PA announcer be a woman. That, I remember when I first heard that, and I was like, what? Okay, and then, going somewhere else. And it's all the women in the camera well with me who are shooting the game. They're all still photographers, and they're so good. And the video content, now social media. There's a whole team of girls running around for the Astros, and I call them girls because they're right out of college and so good at it. My Gen Zers keeping me up to date, and they're so cool. It's so great to see them in all these different roles. And then at the executive level, I mean, that has really blown up as well. Twyla being one of those people for me, but it's just, that was the point. Is the point of the book is the little girl goes. She's exposed to all these different cool jobs that she could do too. Doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from.
Congratulations on being a published author.
Thank you. Okay. Where did I find time for that? You should come with me though. That was a great intro, so you should be on my book tour.
Yeah,
let's do a book tour.
Yeah, take me on your book tour. Yeah, that'd be great. We'll bring our kids along. It'll be real fun.
Oh, yeah.
Her Day at the Park is available in the back, and Julia will be back there right after this if you want to go buy a book, have her sign the book, take a picture. There's a little plug for you.
Thank you.
I have several more questions, but I know y'all have questions too, so I'm going to stop my
They
questioning.
probably have to get back to work. I've been talking their heads off for how long?
They're being inspired. They love the story.
Yes. So we have a few mics floating around here. Does anyone have anything?
Hot mics.
Anyone?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
We have a question. Can you tell us of one moment where you just wanted to give up and said, that's it, I'm out?
Ooh, that's a good question, because I think of it too as all the different things I could give up on, right? I mean, like, we all have careers and we're all doing different things, but it's like the book, or I think about shop baseball, y'all, and stuff I'm trying to do for my kid and be that crazy cool mom that's doing all the things. It's like, why am I doing this stuff? I'm killing myself. So yeah, there's so many different areas of my life where I feel like I probably could have stopped. I mean, the book is definitely one of them. It's just the effort that you want. We all want to do a really good job too, and I think that's where I struggle sometimes. Is like, if I can't do it really, really well, I don't want to do it. I want to give up. Not a great message for me to give to anyone. I mean, it's just, but it is something that I struggle with, and probably always have struggled with. I want control over things. I think I talked about that today. I'm like, I have no control over this.
What are the questions,
I'm
Adam?
kind of freaking out. I don't have a rundown. So yeah, those are things I could get better at for sure. Give up though, when it comes to the job, I think there are times where I probably have wanted to just like shut down, and the job is so public, and every time I step out of the hotel or I'm going to the ballpark, I am faced with people, and I've got to smile, or it's gonna show up on social media that I didn't smile. There's days that are just bad, and sometimes where times get overwhelming. I will tell you that after the happiest year of my career, the 2022 season, that was also the hardest season because I was a mom for the first time with the Astros winning a championship. So they win in 2017. Y'all remember how much fun that was. That first championship was so much fun. I didn't have kids yet. And so, to ride that with the team and to go all the way into November, I think the parade was on November 2nd or something, just a full year. My husband was still playing ball, so he was he was kind of gone a lot, but we had a fun off season and we did all the things together. 2022 was like, how long can I do this? Because once I came off of the high, I have never been that tired and, just like, I didn't really know myself either. I'd also started the business that year, probably has something to do with it. It was just like, I don't know if I can keep this up. Like, I'm getting older, all the things. What I wasn't doing a good job of, though, was handing things off to people and asking for help. And I know I've heard that from other people, and I'm like, yeah, I'm always going to ask for help, but then I don't. And it kind of almost broke me after the 2022 season because I wasn't like excited to get back to it. And that kind of scared me too. I'm like, oh no, is my run kind of over? Do I need to find something else? Because I do love this job so much, but you can only take so much, and the travel got to be crazy. And I don't handle jet lag the way that I used to. It's like all the things are piling up, but I kind of got out of it. I did ask for more help. I have a really, really good group of people, family members. My family doesn't live in Houston, so that's another thing that's been a challenge too, is I can't just drop the kid off on my way to work with mom. It's a lot of planning and logistics and thinking, so that was a really hard time, but also like a really great time. It's all tied together, the way that I feel about it. But I also learned a lot, and it's like pushed me. Now I'm years past that, and I feel so much better about where I'm at and what I'm working, and I haven't really changed as far as the schedule. The Astros didn't win the World Series, though. I guess that was the big difference. Womp womp. October is crazy. But asking for help, I would say, was huge, and communicating that, like, I'm struggling here, I need a little bit of help, especially to my husband and those around me, was huge.
Oh, go ahead. Yep. We've got one here over here too.
Okay, I will go real quick, I guess. I don't know. Oh, go ahead, Christy. Okay. With the growing popularity of the Savannah Bananas, basically like the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball, what is your idea, the Astros idea? Like, what is their perception of them? Pulling from minor leagues to go play?
Yeah.
Just curious.
That's a good question. I feel like I've talked to players about this. They're always like they don't really know what's going on, because like most of them haven't been to shows, so they're always like, what is this? What are they doing on TikTok?
Why is the bat on fire?
They're very confused, but they get the entertainment, right? I mean, they get that. Pulling from the minors, all that's, I mean, I don't even know. I don't know how they're going to pull that off. That thing has exploded. My gosh, though, and I know the fans of that are, I mean, it's really impressive what they've pulled off in the marketing and the social media. It's everywhere. It's all over the place. The other thing that I find interesting is they try to get a celebrity, a local guy to come back or be a part of it. 50 Cent was all over that last time, right? But Roy Oswald did it, right? Roger.
Michael Bourne, Roger Clemens.
Michael Bourne, not the best. I do love that. I love when the former players come back. I mean, they love being a part of that. Some of them do. Andy Pettit did it too, right?
And didn't Josh Reddick do it?
Oh, Reddick. I mean, that's Reddick's thing. I'm surprised he's not a banana. He might be. That is totally Josh Reddick's thing. But I don't know. I mean, there's, obviously the Astros are worried about what the Astros are doing, so they've got enough going on. They're asking me what's happening in the world, and I think that's for their mental health. I mean, there's been some instances this year where some things have been said on social, even death threats. I mean, some really scary stuff. So these guys do try to not check and not scroll and not kind of go down some of that. So then they come to me. I'm like, what's going on TikTok? Like, I don't know. Ask the Gen Z social media girls.
Ask the social media people.
Awesome. A question back here for you too, Julia.
Apart from time management skills, what other top skills have you developed most throughout your career? And then second, if you had to choose one shoe brand for the rest of your life,
oh my gosh,
what would that be?
no.
Manolos, Socates, what would it be?
That's impossible. One shoe brand? Oh, I don't know.
This is why we ask the audience for questions, because I wear my overalls back-to-back days.
Well, it's not the Louboutins, I'll tell you. My feet are killing me right now, but they look great. No, it would be probably something, it would have to be something more practical. I love a Sam Edelman, those are great work professional shoes, but then a Nike Dunk would probably be up there too. What was things that have helped me. I got to the important question first.
I know you're going to circle back to the shoe question after you deliver the life skills.
Circle back. Time management, yeah. And I will preface that with saying I was probably born with a lot of that. Thinking back to what I was like in high school, I was kind of crazy. I was the girl that was in every group, every club. I was cheerleader. I was playing volleyball. Small town, again. Small town. So I was able to, but that's where the time, I was able to do it then, and then only build on that. The shaking hands with strangers is huge. Huge. And not just for our industry. I know you probably would agree with me on this, is because you never know who you're going to end up working with, again, just like us. Getting over that fear of just walking up to people and shaking hands, and that kind of changed the game for me once I got into my career and started working. That moved me up a lot faster than anything else I was doing, my resume tape. It was the people that I met, the business cards I exchanged. That was huge. So get over that fear if you have it very, very quickly, and just meet people and introduce yourself. And you have a story. You have a great story, so tell it. And people like to listen, and and my dad talks a lot. But he is someone that will strike up conversations, and then all of a sudden he'll have like 5 new friends, and he's found a cousin that he hasn't talked to in 25 years, and then he'll come back to me and he's like, hey, if you need this, I've got a friend that does this, and here's your card, and you just have to call this number and it's done. You know what I mean? It's like, what? But that's the power of just striking up a conversation, just shaking hands, and you have no idea how far that will take you. Other things for me, the control thing is a real struggle for me, but I've also had to let go, because a lot of the job I am in the hands of whoever's driving the bus that day, or our travel and whatever's going on with travel. You just have to take a deep breath sometimes and enjoy it while you're doing it, and not always think ahead or what I need to do. That's been huge for me too, just like staying in the moment, and because this job is really hard. It's a great job. It's the best job in the world. But it is a hard one when it comes to that and the hours and all that I'm putting into it. So I just have to chill sometimes and enjoy the moment that I'm in, and not try to think too far ahead, because then all of a sudden you look up and it's October and you're like, wait, what just happened? Rather than, have those fun moments with people around you, and not just be like looking at my planner, because that's a lot of what I'm doing all the time. I have found that to be a game changer for me too here in the last probably 5 years or so. That's really changed the game.
Here we go. We have a question over here.
Thank you. Hi, Julia. Thank you for sharing your accomplishments and your impact that you've had in our community, especially for girls. And I also want to give a shout out to our Killer Lake table. You have quite a few fans.
Yes.
And fangirls and Astros supporters. So woohoo!
Yes.
Thank y'all.
My question is, you shared what you've done, so I would like to know, what do you see yourself doing in the next 5 years?
Yeah.
In addition, have you ever considered yourself being a commencement speaker?
There you go. Just got a job offer there.
Yes.
We talked about that earlier.
We just talked about this. I had the opportunity of doing it for my small little high school, and I was telling Wink today how cool of an experience that was. And obviously I had the tie of being from there, but what is my life? Like, what? People want to hear what I'm saying, and I don't know. You have those moments sometimes where you step back and you're like, what is my life? And that, I think, was one of them for me, the commencement address that I gave then. So, yeah, hit me up. What was the other question?
Your next 5 years.
5 years. Oh, that's why I forgot it. I needed some time to think.
Yeah, what's tomorrow?
I needed some time to think. So my daughter's 5, and the real question for me now moving forward is, how difficult will this all be the older that she gets? So I was given advice from women who had my job and had kids, and they told me, keep traveling. do it now, because the older that she gets, it will get much harder. Which doesn't make a lot of sense to a new mom who's never done that before, because all you want to do is be around your precious newborn, and no one can love your newborn like you, and all of that. Y'all get that. But they are so right, because now that my daughter tells me, are you leaving? Are you packing? How long are you going to be gone? I don't want you to leave. I'm going to miss you. That's just, it's so hard. It's so hard, and it's only going to get harder, and then she's going to get busy. She's going to actually have things that I want to see. Right now, her dance classes are great and all, but it's like, y'all know how busy these kids get and how quickly it happens. My next 5 years will be navigating that. And how much do I need to be on the road versus do I trade it out for more studio work? And what else can I do in the communities? Also, a big question for me all the time. What else can I do for the Astros? They're always doing something new and up to something. Y'all know that. There's just so many different things happening in Houston, too, that I would love to be a part of. So stay tuned. Probably coming out with some new shirts and stuff, too, because why not? Why not? Start a new business. No, I'm just kidding. I'm pretty good right now, though. I'm good.